Here we go. Hello, hello, my fellow Earthlings. Before we continue, I just want to say, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, tell me what you think about what I'm saying in this video, if you have any thoughts about art stuff. Now, this video is about me and my girl went to the Norwegian fall exhibition. It's a exhibition that is supposed to represent all the kind of broad spectrum of art in Norway, and it is actually, I think it is a horror show, because most of the art there is basically conceptual art. There's also one thing with it that I also see clearly, that there is a curator and there's a jury which all agree about what they're actually making. They are basically making their own artwork from other people's art, and they are putting it together and pushing out art that doesn't fit the narrative of the Norwegian, especially in Norway. There's been a lot of discussion the last years about what is art. Is figurative art art, or is it bad art or good art? But what the Norwegian art scene suffers from is simply that, like, there was a Norwegian author, Arnulf Øverland, who in 1936 wrote a book called Serious Words to the Norwegian Population. Now, in the introduction of that book, he says it very plainly like this: when the artists and people started to crave such originality as they did in the late 1800s over to the 1900s, it drove authors and even more the artists into such angst to resemble one another that in the end it didn't look like it, just looked like shit. And you can go back to the urinal of Duchamp, you can go back to the ready-mades, you can go back to when they basically used up painting by painting white on white, and basically painting without painting, or painting without motive, painting all the way down to the basics, which is just paint on the surface. Also, hopefully without a lot of brushwork, because of course that makes it more painted, so they also try to avoid that. And in the end they actually had exhibitions where you come into the exhibition and there weren't even any paintings on the wall, because they have reduced it to just a concept. So, and this thing, in my opinion, has poisoned the arts since modernism took over. I have this book. It is called Artists, and in this book, I've shown it in one of my videos before. It's a very beautiful book, quite dirty, and of course it's in my studio, and it's about artists, and it's a very beautifully made book. But in this book, basically all the artists are doing installations, or, you know, what are you so fucking afraid of? You see, it's the same thing. It's basically a lot of, in my opinion, I use that word a lot because I studied narcissism also to get to know myself, of course, but to get to know why people act so fake. And it has kind of, you see here, installations, then there's Christmas, you know, like Santa Claus. It's just bucket after bucket. There's a lot of meat around, you know. It's the same thing. Installations, and just a pile of garbage. It's the same thing, over and over and over and over and over, and you see the rhetoric is exactly the same. And in the videos I took from this exhibition, I talk about that. I just walk around and I film the art in this place. There are a few pieces which are quite interesting, but what makes them interesting? They were kind of a little bit hard to make. It took some effort to make it, so they have some aesthetic dimension. But in most of the art in this exhibition, there is no aesthetic dimension if you compare it to the great arts. There is no aesthetics, it's not difficult to make, the ideas are quite banal, and it's just a lot of junk. And this is supposed to be the most important exhibition to come into in Norway every year. I've been trying to get into that exhibition since 1991, and I only had one painting to a second opinion there, because back then there was a really hard discussion between Odd Nerdrum. There's a Norwegian artist called Odd Nerdrum. If you're Norwegian, you know who I talk about. You can Google him. He's a very good painter, but kind of a little bit kind of quasi-romantic type thing. You have Vebjørn Sand, the same thing, and they were arguing with established art in Norway, and it was already created a dismissal environment for what I did. Actually, when I went to art school, I was discouraged from painting like I do, but I stuck with it because I'm score very high on idealism, and I don't like to be told what to think or what to do, so I stuck with it, and I did my thing, and in many ways I succeeded with that. And but most artists I went to art school with that actually tried to do something, they changed over to this modern more because they couldn't take the heat in a way, and then it just vanished because they lost the love of things was killed by the environment. I think the art scene is full of covert narcissists. They are covert. They are usually not, most of them are not overt narcissists, they are covert narcissists. It's very important to understand the difference. The covert narcissists do a lot of virtue signaling. They act like they are very interested, act like they are very open, they act like they care, but in reality it's just a show to get attention. So, and that is what the art scene is suffering from, and it shows in this exhibition. I hope you stick around and you see truth, and you can actually comment and tell me what you think in comments. We can have a discussion. That is my opinion, because in my opinion there should be at least an objective standard of skill. There should be a certain amount of quality, objective quality, compared to the best art in the world until something could get into this exhibition. They have done this to not get into these discussions again in media where there was a discussions, well, they don't let any figurative art into the exhibition. They have added in some figurative art also, but it's clear that is only an alibi, so they avoid that discussion. Also, the people who, especially one who do drawing, it's a very nice drawing. You see it in the video, but he is a kind of a part of the establishment. He's more like he has never had any opinions about art, or which I've seen. He is kind of inside. He's accepted as a modernist in a way. And there are one that looks a little bit like Odd Nerdrum. Could be a student of him. That's the way. And that is also taken in, and it's also the placing of the painting is clearly to basically send a message: we are hiding this. It's not really a part of the exhibition. And you can see it. I see it. I can't guarantee that I'm right, but I can see the whole mood of the situation. And this exhibition gets state money. Actually, the arts in Norway are covered by the state. So a lot of artists actually get paid to do art. And it's a small country. There's only 5 or 6 million people, 5.5 million people in this country. There's way too many artists. And way too many, and most of the artists are also conceptual artists, so they can't live of it themselves. I could actually make a living from this. If I'm good with money, I can actually make a living if I don't waste. And I was actually quite rich for a while, but it kind of slowed down a little bit, and but that's a long story. I used too much money and I screwed up, and my advice is, of course, to young artists: don't spend, save and create. That is the best way to live your life, to be honest. Focus on the near things like your coffee. You don't need the expensive hotels and stuff, but okay, that's a digression. When I go through this exhibition, I might seem a little bit arrogant, but it pisses me off. It pisses me off that there are so many good figurative artists in Norway, and people who work with more classical stuff, more painting, and they are filling up the whole most of the exhibition is the same thing. It's like this book, it's different artists doing exactly the same rhetoric. This is the same rhetoric over and over and over and over and over. Maybe it has something to do with, it's also bad photography. It's never good photography, like beautiful photography, or some photography that is stunning, or some art that is really stunning. No, it's just conceptual art again and again. So this book is basically like seeing the Norwegian Høstutstilling, or Oslo, or Norwegian Høstutstilling, or autumn exhibition, or fall exhibition. So yeah, I actually haven't sent in anything for a few years. I just forgot about it, but I think I'm going to start sending in again. It's a few years since I sent in, but they don't get in anyway, so why bother in a way? And I don't recognize this exhibition as, great anyway. And for me, it doesn't really matter because I'm not a part of any art scene or any art group or anything like that. I'm actually totally independent. I know a few people who do some artwork, but I do not have. Most of my friends do totally normal things. It's like when I go into the, when I gonna have my time with my girl or with my friends or whatever, I kind of like to relax and don't think about art or painting and stuff like that. So, with this, it became a very long introduction. Sorry about that, but it's gonna be, yeah. So see this, and you can jump over it. It's like 15 minutes long, so jump over it if you like, and you can just see the exhibition. So I just want to talk a little bit about art and on the art scene, what's wrong with it. And I think the art scene basically suffers from covert narcissism. There are some overt narcissism, these people who are just think they are the half gods, but they are basically also close to being psychopaths. But there's a lot of covert narcissism, also a lot of borderline personality disorder people in art, and it shows in how they follow each other like sheep. Artists are way too sheep-like, and they believe they are individualists, but most of them are just following the script like everybody else. You got the art scene in Norway is basically a political party. You have the people around Otnadrum, but they are way the other way again. They are so romantic, and they are so talking about the genius and talking about even they see themselves as Übermensch just because they taught themselves how to paint. And I can't stand it, okay? As I say, it's just paint. You do it over a long period of time, and you will be able to learn to do this, okay? Maybe some people have some edge because of their ADHD or hypomania like me, but it's also a limiting factor because every day I have to fight like a lion to just get started. And when I start, I can't stop. So it's ridiculous. But anyway, I think most artists are doing what I would call fake passion, and they are virtue signaling, and they are politically correct, always on the left. I'm just a humanist and a human being on earth. And yeah, and I do art because art means creating something. It means having a skill. It's doing an art. Used to mean skill. Okay? It's an art. It's a skill. So with this, I say cheers with my coffee as usual. And hope you enjoy the talk. Comment, tell me what you think, and see the exhibition. Yeah, and you will. Maybe you see what I mean. And strangely, I also met my brother there actually, and his wife. It's quite funny, quite a coincidence. Anyway, have a good one. And my beautiful girlfriend Amalia is with me. I will link to her channel in description so you can watch her paint also. Okay, bye. Okay, so here we are with the lovely Amalia, and this is the artist's house or Kunstnernes hus in Oslo, and we have the fall exhibition. It's usually a debacle of modern art, and yeah, so just walk in here and see what happens. Of course, we are coming in here and we see the first artwork on the floor. this we know what's coming. Yeah, and here we start with some Palestine propaganda. Of course, conceptual art, and it's more conceptual art. And there's some horrible paintings, and that is one of the qualifications to get into the Norwegian Oslo or fall exhibition, is the inability to paint any technique at all. That is the best qualification. You do something good and you're never gonna get in, and that is the truth. Hey, these are quite cool actually. It's not so bad. They're quite cool. I have to admit, in all this, at least it takes a while to make it, which I find to be a very good quality thing, when an idea actually takes a little while. So it's kind of Harry Potter-ish. Some photo, some of course conceptual sculpture, which I really don't care about. Some photography, just kind of have a strange 3D effect actually. It kind of worked quite well actually. If it was a painting, it would even be better. Context matters. I have no idea what that means, and I probably don't care. Here you have more of the same. These are the things that Norway spend money on in culture. Some wooden stuff. Here you have something, of course, more conceptual bullshit. It's always, you know, the problem is the curators. They're always gonna kind of have something they can basically enhance their ego to find some philosophical background for this. Body don't mind. It's like, ugh. Yeah. Conceptual art. This is why I usually don't even bother going here. Photography, yeah, still life in a way. Okay. Quite good drawing actually. Not so bad, I think I know. Sverre Malling. Sverre Malling, yeah, is also very politically correct. Gone to the, but at least he is quite a good drawer. Give him that. It's quite nice actually. Not amazing. I know people in Norway way better than him. At least it takes time, you know. So that's my girl. Oh, wow. You look very nice, my darling. You look very nice. More conceptual art. I really just hate this shit because it's just so pretentious, and it reminds me of the narcissism you find in the arts, and why arts today just have lost its meaning, because there is absolutely no skill or anything behind it. It's just kind of an anti-skill, as you faced all the way back to the Duchamp urinal, and here you have a painted alibi for the, why this one, why there is no skill, there is no. It's just so easy peasy. Wooden snit, not so bad, but and here more conceptual art. It's kind of the same thing over and over and over again. It is basically artists doing exactly the same concept, and today it actually feels like there is some new trend in conceptual art, because everything in here kind of looks the same. Even the paintings, even what's on the wall, it's basically the same. And it's probably because the curators is very afraid of doing anything different, and just cloth on top of each other. And of course there is some ridiculous idea behind this. I'm just bored to death. I have actually feathers from a peacock. At least it took a while to find these feathers, I guess, if they're real. Now, I don't know if they're real. Maybe they're real. I don't know. Yeah. Next room. Yeah, and here you have some political stuff, anti-NATO thing, of course. You have to have some anti-NATO thing. It's not even painted, it's so fucking pathetic, so obvious. Yeah. It's so obvious, it's so banal. More of the same conceptual art. Conceptual art. And this is what Norway is actually spending its culture money on. And this is what you see also in the world, in modern art. You only see, that drawing we saw by Sverre Malling there's my brother actually, that was fun. So, my brother, what do you think? The same shit as last year? The same bullshit. Over and over. No, it's the same. You see, also, just like English by film. Also, if you look around, you can actually see there is one person that has picked out everything. Because it's kind of the same rhetoric, the same. Okay. I met my brother, this woman. So, fun. Anyway. But you see, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Same one.
Same thing.
Yeah, overall.
Overall,
Yeah.
no, same thing. The rhetoric is exactly the same. If this is free thinking, I'm gonna fucking puke. Well, it's painted. It's not so bad, actually. Who's painted that? It's not so bad, actually. But, you know, they hang it high up there, basically to hide it, in a way. Who hangs a painting that high? What's the point? And here you have more. Of course, probably something to do with the environment, some symbolic video. Ugh. The whole thing just makes me sweat. Yeah, at least some skill needed. If it's not a print, no, it's a drawing. It's not so bad. It's a drawing. It's not so bad because it at least it takes some skill. Hello. Ja. Hi. Jeg filmer akkurat nå bare. I'm filming. Yeah, I'm filming.
Du, jeg kjenner deg fra sånn 10 år tilbake.
Ja, klart stemmer det. Husker jeg ansiktet ditt.
Gjør du det?
Ja.
Så hyggelig.
Hvor traff jeg deg?
Nei, jeg var venninne med en som het Lilith.
Å, Lilith, ja. Hvordan gikk det med henne da?
Vi er ikke venner lenger.
Å, nei, det er jo ikke noen overraskelse.
Nei, er dere...
Nei, altså, jeg har ikke noen kontakt med henne. Du er jo ganske gal.
Ja, går det bra med deg?
Ja, hengende sammen. Kjæresten min der og går rundt ut. And voila, here we are. And this is the state of Norwegian art when shit like this is actually exhibited on Norway's most important. And somebody bought this shit. And yeah, I'm very negative because there is no reason not to be negative. It is so bad, and there is no skill, there is no, except from that one drawing, there is absolutely no skill at all. And I'm supposed to be impressed by this. This is what happens when social democracy gives free money to artists. This is what you get. And yeah. And of course some bad drawing, because they also have to take in some they also do take in some alibis, so they can't really say, oh, there is no figurative art here, there is no classical art. So they do actually take in some pieces just to have some as an alibi, so they can't have that discussion. This was actually a little bit cool, but it's just a carpet for heaven's sake. Yeah. Så hvor har du gjort av bananen? Where's the banana? Is that the new banana? I'm so sick of this shit. It's so stupid. Ja, hva syns du? What do you think? I wound up in a discussion about Israel. It's just annoying. Total bullshit. It's bullshit. All this paid by Norwegian money. Fine.
Hva? Skal jeg ikke filme deg?
Ja, skal jeg filme meg litt da?
Ja.
Level of paintedness. What could possibly be the reason why this is here? Do you have any idea?
Hvorfor det er her? Godt spørsmål.
Ja. Jeg ta et bilde av den og slå meg på her.
Skal jeg bare trykke på den, eller?
Ja. And with no surprise, you go downstairs to the last room and you have exactly the same conceptualistic crap. And it's put together of a committee which is basically under the spell of artistic narcissism. It's so boring, and there is no skill, there is nothing difficult, half-baked paintings. It's just so fucking annoying. Ja da, gå opp og finn deg en. And we have, of course, one more painting. Why did I put it up so high? That also was from the jury's state of point to actually make a statement that this is not really supposed to be here. I'm pretty sure that is basically the idea. Anyway, we're getting thrown out now, and thank God for that. Me and my girl is gonna have a nice pizza, a glass of wine, and yeah. So, the exhibition was as predictable and as boring as always. Ja, tack för det.